always been a fan of yours. Always respected your opinions, but recently you made some comments about Shawn Taylor. I don't know if the people in the stream know what you said, but if I can quote your blog.
I don't have a blog. You can quote me.
Your column.
Okay.
On Wednesday, November 28th, 2007, you said, I was not surprised in the least when I heard the news Monday morning that Shawn Taylor had been shot and his son violent intruder. Angry, yes. Surprised, not even a little. It was only June 2006 that Taylor originally charged with a felony, pleaded no contest to assault and battery charges after brandishing a gun during a battle over who took his all-terrain vehicle to Florida. After that, an angry crew pulled up on Taylor and his boys, pumped at least 15 shots into a sport utility vehicle. So why would anybody be surprised? Had it been Shawn Springs, I would have been stunned, but not Shawn Taylor. Also on your television program.
We can just go let's get to the question. I think we get the idea. Let's get to the question so we don't monopolize too much.
I just wanted to see how, if your opinions have changed at all now that you realize what transpired that night. If you still feel like, Shawn Taylor was not a changed man, and if you still feel that you were justified in making these comments.
Good question. I wasn't addressing whether Shawn Taylor became a changed man. I was addressing the notion of gunplay and a person who'd been involved in it in his life only a year earlier. Me being shot. I'll use another example to sort of bring this around. If Brett Favre, I don't know how many of you remember this, Brett Favre had something happen early in his life, an addiction to painkillers from the pain of playing quarterback and getting bounced around every Sunday. If someone had come to me a year later after Brett made that revelation himself and said that Brett had gotten in some trouble, had OD'd on painkillers, would I be surprised? No. If it was Boomer Esiason, I would have been surprised. I don't have any problem changing my opinion, because those of you who read the column regularly will see sometimes I'll come back and say, rethought that or feel differently about it over time. What I would have done differently is probably gone into more explanation about what I felt about it. I think you read the sentence in there that said, how did I feel about it? Angry. Angry that another young person lost his life involved in gunplay. But again, there were a lot of people that I talked to that morning who said, if you had to guess who this was, who do you think it was who was involved in this? And that's sad. It was depressing. I found Shawn Taylor's death and still find it depressing. And by the way, one of the people who was most outspoken about this, of course he backed down because that's what players do when management confronts them in many cases. His cousin, who played for the Cardinals, Antrell Roll, he went much further, saying Shawn was afraid to come home. I don't know if you saw those comments or not. That Shawn was afraid to come home to Miami because there were these beefs going on with various people, and he was always looking over his shoulder, thinking this is going to happen. And we have to have those conversations. And they're not always fun, they're not always comfortable. I wasn't suggesting that Shawn Taylor had done something wrong. What I was suggesting is he was in harm's way in a manner that his own cousin thought he identified in his various trips back home to Miami. All of that, to me, is just sad. And people objected to me bringing it up for discussion. I respect that. They can be angry. I wrote the lead of that column, if I'm not mistaken, says, if you want to read a celebration of Shawn Taylor's football largesse, there are 50 other columns in this paper today where you can do that. But this conversation is not going to be about that. And once again, I understand people. I understand it now. People being upset, and I have no problem with people calling me up saying, "This pissed me off." I get it, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to have the discussion. You know, too often people think because they see us on television doesn't do anything hard, really. Television does easy stuff. People stand there and because they have to rely on the athlete or the coach cooperating with them to stand there and talk about how the game just ended. Tell me about the touchdown celebration. I don't care about that. There are deeper issues to get to in this culture that we get to through sports. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the #1 example from the last eight months of my life. I would have written it differently, but I would not have avoided it. And I'm sorry if people feel like I should avoid that topic. Not going to happen. You know, sometimes over your Rice Krispies in the morning, I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable. We're going to have this discussion. That's what good journalism does. And I guess over time, because I think about this a lot, you know, when you see other deaths too. Remember, Shawn's affected everybody here, but there are other ones in different communities. It's just like Lynn Bias. I mean, I went through this. I was not a columnist then. I did not get to share my opinion then. That wasn't what I was paid to do. But it's a arresting thing. It gives you pause. And I would have written it differently, but I would have raised the discussion still. And I understand why people are upset. And what I apologize for is maybe being a little more blunt than I should have that close to his death. People say, well, you should have waited a week. Well, if the conversation was had maybe 2 weeks earlier, maybe he'd still be with us. Now, I don't mean by me, I mean by us as a larger culture. That Shawn clearly was trying to change his life, and I wrote in that piece. Other folks weren't trying to let him change his life. So the conversation wasn't just about Shawn's life, it was about the lives around him. And when you got into this life, it wasn't so easy to get out of. And that's a conversation we need to have other than the week after somebody dies, to be honest. We need to have it more frequently. So like I said, I appreciate you bringing it up. Thank you.